So, what do you say of a player that is more well known for who he played with than himself? This guy was a big catcher with the Yankees Mets program with Tom Seaver and Nolan Ryan, a World Series winner in '69. But however you spell his name, Jerry Grote or Grote, he was tough as nails, ladies and gentlemen. The native of San Antonio, Texas, Jerry Grote has passed away April 7th, 2024, after a short illness. He played Major League Baseball from 83 to 81 for the Colt 45s, the Mets, the Dodgers, and the Royals. After playing for Houston from 63 to 64, he suited up with the Mets from 66 to 1977, playing in two World Series, winning one. With the Mets, he was a two-time All-Star player and was a member of the squad that became known as the Miracle Mets for the upset victory over the Orioles in the '69 Fall Classic. He finished his career with the Dodgers in '77 and '78, who made the World Series, and the Royals and Dodgers in '81. Grote was considered to be one of the best defensive catchers of his era and was inducted in the New York Mets Hall of Fame in '92. Now, born again in San Antonio, when he was 10, he and his family were almost killed in an F4 tornado. His mother, father, and two sisters made it to safety. However, his grandmother died in the storm. Can you imagine what would happen if he would have passed? All the great memories he helped build for the Mets faithful would have been lost. Now, when he attended Douglas MacArthur High School, he played on the baseball team as a pitcher, catcher, and third baseman. As a high school pitcher, he threw a no-hitter and a one-hitter. Grote attended Trinity University in '62 and played college baseball for the Trinity Tigers. He led them in batting average with 413, home runs with 5, RBIs with 19, runs scored with 29, and hits in 31. Now, after one season at Trinity, he was signed by the Colts, the Colt 45s, and then was sent to the San Antonio Bullets. At the age of 20, he made his major league debut with fall call-ups in '63 as a leading defensive replacement for future Expo John Bateman, and had a sacrifice fly to score Bob Aspromonte in his only plate appearance. For the season, he appeared in 3 games, including on September 27, whenever he started the Colts lineup was a rookie. In '64, Grote platooned with Bateman as catcher. However, the Colts also experimented with young catchers Dave Adelish and John Hoffman, as neither Grote nor Bateman hit for a very high average that season. Actually, they were both below 200. Now, Grote was the Colts catcher on April 23rd when Ken Johnson became the first pitcher in Major League history to lose a complete game no-hitter in 9 innings. Now, in '65, the newly renamed Astros remained unsettled behind the plate, with former All-Star Gus Triandos and prospect Ron Brand being added to the roster. Grote spent the entire season with Houston's AAA Pacific Coast League affiliate, the Oklahoma City 89ers, where he batted .265 with 11 home runs. At the end of the season, he was traded to the Mets for pitcher Tom Parsons, and the rest is history. Now, Grote became the Mets starting catcher in '66, though he only batted .237 with 3 home runs in his first season with the Mets. His handling of the Mets' young pitchers and his solid defensive skills were instrumental in helping the Mets avoid 100 losses and a last place finish for the first time in franchise history. He did earn a reputation with his teammates and opponents of being highly motivated and competitive, developing the trademark of rolling the ball to the far side of the pitcher's mound, closest to the Mets' dugout, while leaving the field after his pitcher ended the inning with a strikeout. This necessitated the opposing team's pitcher having to walk further to stoop and retrieve the ball. Now, in '68, one of his key years, he was hitting over 300 mid-season and was recognized as one of the top catchers in the NL when he was selected to be the starting catcher in the '68 All-Star game. He also became the second Met player in franchise history after Ron Hunt to earn a starting role in an All-Star contest. He was hitless in 2 at-bats during the game. He ended the year at .282 along with 3 home runs and 31 RBIs. Now, '69, the Cubs had been in first place since the beginning of the season and had a 9-game lead as late as August 15th. However, the Cubs began to falter while the Mets rebounded. When the two teams met for a 2-game series on September 8th, the Mets won both games to move just 1/2 game behind the Cubs. Aside from calling Tom Seaver's 5-hit pitching performance in the second game, Grote drove in the Mets' 7th and final run of the contest. The following day, the Mets swept the Expos in a doubleheader, with Grote catching all 21 innings. Coupled with the Cubs' loss, the Mets moved to first place for the first time in their history. The Mets stayed in the lead for the rest of the season, finishing 37-11 in their last 48 games, while the Cubs slumped to a .917 record in their final 26 and clinched the National League East Division title 2 weeks early on September 24th. Now, when he finished the '69 season with a .252 average with 6 home runs and 40 RBIs, and a great fielding percentage of .991. He helped, of course, guide the Mets' young pitching staff, which included Nolan Ryan and Tom Seaver. Now, when the Mets swept the Braves in the NLCS, they were considered underdogs heading to the '69 World Series against the Orioles. And, of course, following a 4-1 loss in the series opener, the Mets won 4 straight to capture the title. Besides catching every inning the postseason, Grote contributed offensively with a single Game 2 to keep a 9-inning rally going. And, of course, Al Weiss followed with the game-winning hit. With Game 4 tied, Grote doubled to start the 10th. Then pitch runner Rod Gaspar scored a winning run when an errant throw hit J.C. Merton on the wrist. With Grote calling the pitches, the Mets pitching staff held the Orioles hitters to a 146 batting average during the series. Now, he led the NL catchers and putouts in a range factor in 70-71. In 72, Grote played only 64 games due to injuries, and in late September, he had surgery to remove bone chips for his right elbow, and it became what was called then the bionic elbow. In May 73, he broke a bone in his right arm when he was hit by a pitch and went on the disabled list for 2 months. When he returned in mid-July, the Mets began winning again, climbing from last on August 30th to pass the Expos to win the National League Eastern Division. They then proceeded to defeat the heavily favored Reds in the '73 NLCS. In the World Series, the Mets took the Oakland Athletics to the 7th and final game. As he had in '69, Grote caught every inning of every postseason game for the Mets in '73. Looking back at his 2 pennant-winning seasons with the Mets, Grote said, if the '69 season was no miracle, now '73 was a miracle. In '74, he was batting .287 with 4 homers and 27 RBIs when he made the All-Star game again. Injuries, however, began to take their toll in his split catching duties with the young Duffy Dyer. He rebounded in '75, posting career-high .295 batting average in 119 games, and led NL catchers with a .995 fielding percentage. At Veterans Stadium on July 4th, '75, he stepped in as a pinch hitter against longtime teammate Tug McGraw, who had been traded to the Phillies during the offseason. With the Mets down 3-2, he connected for a game-winning 2-run home run to seal the deal for the Mets. However, this was the big change. In August '77, the Mets traded Grote to the Dodgers for 2 players to be named later. Shortly after joining the Dodgers, Grote struck out in his only career at bat against former battery mate Tom Seaver, who was now with the Reds. During his 2 seasons with the Dodgers, he played part-time as a backup to Steve Yeager and appeared in 2 World Series against the Yankees. He retired from pro baseball after the '78 season. However, in '81, the Royals, who experienced a shortage of catchers, lured Grote out of retirement. On June 3rd, the age of 38, Grote went 3 for 4 with a grand slam, a double and a stolen base, driving a team record 7 runs. He had 17 hits and 56 at-bats in 22 games, batting .304, before they placed him on release waivers on September 1st. He then signed with the Dodgers and appeared 1 game for them before the end of the season. He retired again after the '81 season. Of course, the Dodgers won the World Series that year. Now, in his 16-year Major League career, 1,421 games, almost 1,100 hits, .252 career batting average, but a stellar .991 fielding percentage, which at the time of his retirement was 8th highest all-time among catchers. Now, on April 22nd, 1970, he set a league record with 20 putouts in a game when Seaver threw 19 strikeouts against the Padres. He is the Mets' all-time leader in games played as a catcher, 1176. He caught 116 shutouts in his career, ranking him 15th all-time among catchers. Now, Grote called the pitchers for some of the most standing hurlers of his era, including Tom Seaver, Jerry Koosman, Tug McGraw, Nolan Ryan, Tommy John, Don Sutton, and of course Dan Quisenberry. He possessed a strong and accurate throwing arm against opposing base runners. Hall of Fame inductee Lou Brock found Grote to be one of the most difficult catchers in which to attempt a stolen base, and though Hall of Famer Johnny Bench was a perennial Gold Glove winner during their careers in NL together, Bench once said to Grote, "If Grote and I were on the same team, I would be playing third base." After his playing career ended, Grote went to business selling meat products, but the business closed. In September '83, he was indicted, get this, by a grand jury for hindering a secured creditor when he sold cattle that did not officially belong to him. The charges were dropped in May '84. Now, he spent '85 as a manager of the Lakeland Tigers and the Birmingham Barons. In '89, he played for the St. Lucie Legends in the Senior Pro Baseball Association. Now, inducted to the Texas Baseball Hall of Fame in '91, he was put into the New York Mets Hall of Fame in '92. In '98, he was inducted to the San Antonio Sports Hall of Fame. And on October 8, 2011, He was inducted into the Trinity University Athletic Hall of Fame. Now, he also had some celebrity. He appeared as a mystery guest on the TV game show What's My Line? And Grote and some of his teammates with the 69 Mets appeared on an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond in 99. In 10 and 11, he was a color commentator with Mike Capps on the Round Rock Express radio home broadcast. Now, Grote's first wife, Sharon, divorced in 1980. He married his second wife, Tony, in May 82, but he divorced in July 83. He had 3 children with his first wife, Sandy, Jeff, and Jennifer. Unfortunately, on April 7, 2024, Grote died from respiratory failure at the Texas Cardiac Arrhythmia Institute in Austin, Texas. He was 81. Now, Grote, I think what really stands out for me, the battlers of the Mets, Doug McGraw, Harrelson, Rusty Staub, John Miller, the Mets of 69 and 73 were defense-oriented. He wouldn't score many runs, but he had good pitching. I mean, of course, the worst trade of all time, Nolan Ryan to the Angels. But Nolan Ryan and Tom Seaver, you know, that's Jerry Koosman too. That's 3 big people to keep in tune. But when he went to the Dodgers, you know, Tommy John and Tom Sutton, they called him a catcher's pitcher, or a pitcher's catcher. You know what I'm saying? A pitcher needed somebody like a catcher. And a lot of the modern catchers now, what I call the 4 home run, 40 RBI guys, owe a lot to Jerry. And I watched Gary Carter with Montreal. It took him 4 or 5 years being an outfielder and a positional player to be good as a catcher. The tools are in good for sure. So when I was growing up, you had Jerry Grote, you had Johnny Bench, you had Gary Carter later on in the 70s. But catchers, I mean, you know, there were more stars in the 80s and 90s. But back then, I mean, if you loved the Mets, Jerry Grote was your guy. And it's just kind of funny that I don't know exactly what the modern media thinks about not really recognize him, how defensively. This is a guy, ladies and gentlemen, career only 39 home runs, but any home run he hit was important. Like I said, you know, Ozzie Smith would put up similar numbers, 5 home runs, 45 RBIs or whatever. So just to recap again, Houston Colt 45, 63, 64. Mets 65, 67, 77. Dodgers 77, 78. Royals 81 and the Dodgers against in 81. And of course, 3 World Series years in the Dodgers franchise. Kansas City made their team at the playoffs as well in 81. Now, 2-time All-Star, 68, 74. World Series champion officially in 69. And New York Mets Hall of Fame. So April was a bad month for baseball fans, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of stars passed away. I'm sorry I'm getting this late, but how we do it, we need confirmation through certain published reports. Sometimes it's the Alumni Association that does it, because Ken Holtzman, Larry Brown, and Grote passed away in the last couple of weeks. But like I said, there's been a lot going on with the channel here with the NHL playoffs. We're working on a couple of cold cases. We got some books coming up with my Authors Federation in New Brunswick, so I apologize. But there's a connection with all 3 of Larry Brown, Holtzman, and Grote, because the Oakland A's Mets fans see all 3 of these people as important cogs in their wheels. Larry Brown, also his years in Cleveland, Holtzman as well with the Cubs. They excelled in leagues that needed them. And like I said, Johnny Bench, defensive, was the guy, but Grote was very close. And like I said, you know, Johnny Bench had his TV show, you know, he would have like sport events. I'd like to see if someone did a video with him about catching, because This Week in Baseball wasn't really big in the mid-70s until 77, 78. But I had a friend up home who would watch some of the Mets tapes used to watch later on, where he would show the Dodger games. I think they were being shown on SRC, you know, the feed. I'm talking, you know, the late 70s, early 80s when people were taping. He got an interesting style. Like, he used his whole body on the plate. And just like a cannon for an arm, ladies and gentlemen. So, Jerry Grote will be missed. If you like what we're doing here, ladies and gentlemen, like, comment, subscribe, or share. And don't forget, as we say in the North Shore of New Brunswick, especially the Dodger Field and the old Beldoon ball field, you got to swing for the fences. Have a good one. Bye.